Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. All right. It's a beautiful cold evening, and I want to get y'all on out of here, so will everybody please take your seat. The Clayton County Board of Commissioners work session is now called to order. The date is November 11, 2025, and the time is 5:30 p.m. First of all, I want to say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. Do we have any veterans in the house today? No veterans? But all right. No. Do I say, okay, y'all didn't see y'all, but stand. Will all our veterans please stand? Please stand to be recognized, all of our veterans. All right, Attorney Reed. Dietrich, you a veteran? Okay, I didn't know. All right. Also, we have our COO, Mr. Dietrich Sanford. Again, happy Veterans Day to everyone today. Next, we'll move on to our preliminary items for our next BOC meeting. Board members, are there any items that you would like to discuss tonight on the agenda for the upcoming regular business meeting?
I don't know. I don't see it.
You don't have it? Okay.
So, no.
You didn't, okay. All right, so we will move right along. We'll move on to item 3, our agenda items. The first item is quarter 4 of the MARTA updates, and we will have updates from our interim CEO, Mr. Jonathan Hunt.
Good evening. Thank you, Chairwoman Dr. Alika Anderson-Henry.
Good afternoon.
Clayton County Board members.
You know we're messing with you, so we have this joke. You know, if it's before 6 o'clock, it's good afternoon, Mr. Hunt.
I apologize. You're absolutely right. You're not messing with me. When you're right, you're right. And I remember that from before, Commissioner Hambrick, so I apologize. Good afternoon. Clicker, I'm going to see if I can remember something once. Here's my agenda that I wanted to cover today: an operations update, a capital expansion, and some other news. We're going to start with our operational updates. First, looking at ridership, a general reminder that the streetcar is closed because Georgia Power had to conduct utility repairs on their own lines. But prior to that streetcar closure, we saw ridership at pre-pandemic levels on the streetcar. We also continue to see a cyclical increase in riders on all other modes of transit coming out of the summer months. We anticipate our ridership on bus and rail to increase by this time next year due to the implementation of our Better Breeze fare payment system, new fare gates, as well as upgraded service delivery. Next, going to take us through capital expansion projects. The first of which is Airport Station. We continue to see a progression at the Airport Station rehabilitation. The second elevator has been installed and tile work is underway, as you can see in the picture on the right. We have continued improvements to the ride store, as you can see in the first 2 pictures, including the plexiglass as well as other improvements. We will be dropping in a ceiling in 2026 and are very excited that this is going to be completed well before the World Cup. The MARTA Rapid South Lake update. CDM Smith is onboarded and has begun work on the final design. With the federal shutdown, some departments such as USDOT and the FTA have slowed some of their work. This may affect timing of news on the capital improvement grant rating. However, we continue to coordinate with the FTA as we await their final response on this project. And as I reported before, this still remains listed in the President's list of projects under the CIG grant funding. So we're still optimistic about that. The MARTA team has met with airport officials to walk through this project and coordinate early stage planning and design work. Which leads me to a very exciting aspect of the project, which is the TOD study update. The team has been conducting stakeholder interviews. We've held 2 developer roundtables for private sector input. We've had talks with stakeholders from the corridor station areas where there'll be several meetings centered around sustainability as well as resiliency. We've also attended the Clayton MARTA Citizens Advisory Board meeting on September 17th. and we conducted a day-long in-person station area working group meeting on October 23rd at the Clayton County Water Authority, and want to thank the Water Authority for hosting us and that outreach. The Clayton County O&M facility, we've advanced demolition a bit further. We're just north of 85%. Importantly, we've received approval from a land variance from Forest Park, and the first parcel has been completely graded, seeded, and strawed. Commissioner Hambrick, I know you've been concerned about jobs and certifications for jobs in the O&M facility. I'm pleased to say we have information for you. We need drivers, maintenance staff, administrative roles, as well as MARTA police officers. On drivers, we prefer them to have CDL licenses, but we also have a program to train them. And recently, we are going through a process to expedite the training on CDLs so we can get drivers who aren't CDL qualified to full CDL and in the driver's seat quicker. Maintenance staff, they need to be a licensed mechanic or apprentice. Administrative roles, 2 to 5 years experience is preferred in the general administrative support and other skills depending on the role that they're assuming. And then MPD, they need to be 21 years of age with a high school diploma or GED, and then because they're officers, you know, the variety of background checks. I'm not going to list them all, but the variety of background checks.
Yeah. When will you all start hiring for these positions or for that facility?
We are looking for people now. Even if they're going to be at that facility, they can start at another facility and transfer down, because we'll be moving a lot of our operations to that facility. So we're looking and interviewing and hiring now.
I would like to get with you all on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's why I called it out.
Okay.
Mr. Hunt,
Yes, ma'am.
where do they go to
Chairwoman,
apply for
excuse
these-
me.
You're fine. Where do they go to apply for these positions? Because we want a lot of our Clayton County residents to know, where they need to go in order to get these jobs.
So there's two. Obviously, I can say, go to our website. Okay. That's kind of impersonal. Our head of HR's name is Kessie Dorner, Dorner. We'll send the information. You don't have to write any of this down, commissioners. We'll distribute it all so you can share it with your constituents, and we'll put it prominently on our website. But we'll get you our head of HR.
Can you get? I know I would like a flyer.
Yeah, we'll have
flyer
something that you can
that we
distribute.
post.
Absolutely, 100%, no problem. And we'll also work with groups such as the Chamber, Clayton State University, on workforce development, and so we'll be doing outreach around job placement and job opportunities. So we're not just going to give it to you and kind of wait. We'll be proactive. The next capital project is the Justice Center Transit Hub. Nothing has really changed so much on this project since our last briefing, but I wanted to keep it on the forefront and top of mind. The bid will be out in the first quarter of 2026. 100% design and cost estimates are complete, and we've completed and passed all of our safety certification. So with this project, 2 of the 4 Clayton County major projects will be under construction in 2026. First picture on top is the safety fencing, kind of the condition now, and the picture on bottom is a rendering of what the project will look like when completed. Next, we're going to turn to other news. And in other news, we have our Better Breeze. In April, our new Better Breeze fare system will allow riders to pay directly at fare gates with credit and debit cards, virtual wallets, or a Breeze card. We'll have new fare boxes and validators on all of our rolling stock. The new ticket vending machines will be much easier to use and reduce lines. And the new fare gates are designed to reduce fare evasion as well as to be more aesthetically pleasing. The first fare gate was installed at Lindbergh Station, right near our headquarters, and we announced it with a large media preview last month. And we're going to be conducting extensive public education and outreach. You all will receive Better Breeze packets. So as constituents come to you, sometimes they'll come to you versus us. We want you and your staff to be prepared and have the information. All of that will be rolling out in earnest in January. As to say,
Excuse me. Can we
Yes,
exchange our
Commissioner.
cards?
Absolutely.
With the new card?
Oh, for the new card? No, no. That's part of the educational outreach. So if you have a Breeze card now,
Right.
use that, whatever you may have stored value on that card down. When we do the switch in April, that'll be the last bite at the apple on the old card. And then at the end of the April, we'll be on the new system going forward. We're going from one vendor to the other, so we can't transfer over the value. That's why you can't keep the value on your stored card.
And I have a question. So
Yes.
I remember when we took the DMV trip, one of the things that with the fares, so they'll be able to scan our credit card. So even if we don't pull it out and use it, if it'll help with fare evasion as well. We'll be able to walk through correct, and then they just scan our credit cards and go through.
Screen your credit card, your phone, if you like to use your phone to pay. We're going to take everything except crypto.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to know how. I just want everybody to know how.
Yeah, frictionless.
And if you go through there and you don't pay, it's going to scan your credit card or whatever you have, except for crypto. Thank you.
Safety. As we reported last quarter, MARTA is one of the safest transit agencies in the nation. We partner with neighboring public safety, law enforcement agencies, and others to reduce crime in communities around our major infrastructure and therefore on MARTA. We are excited to show Commissioner Allen and Commissioner Rees some of the behind the scenes on our Integrated Operations Center last month. And the MARTA Police Department is 300 strong, including uniformed officers, non-sworn security officers called Field Protective Specialists, as well as many other specialized units like K9, bike, motorcycle, bomb, SORT units, drone units to help combat crime. We also have specialized partnerships with the TSA Viper teams, FBI, as well as U.S. Marshal Office. And I made one mistake. The MARTA Police Office is no longer 300 strong. I reported last month that we were going to get to 250 officers, which is our fully budgeted amount of officers this year. We've already achieved that. We have over 250 officers on staff. And I also committed to Clayton County, as well as your jurisdictional partners, part of MARTA, that we were going to hire an additional 30 officers and 10 field protective specialists in 2026. We've already hired 10 additional officers toward that goal. And we fully believe that by the end of second quarter, we'll have achieved the additional officers and field protective specialists in the MPD.
Right.
So back to the hiring, we're hiring now, Commissioner Hambrick.
As far as other security, did you mention anything about the dogs? You all have?
Yeah, a K9 unit, yes. We have a K9 unit, which is very well respected.
Okay.
And often our K9s, if when they go to retire, many other law enforcement agencies in smaller jurisdictions will purchase our animals because they're so highly trained.
How
and
many?
use
How
them.
many do you have?
About 10 dogs, depends, it fluctuates over time. So we have more officers than dogs. So depending on the time and how quickly we can get them trained, we
And the
hover right
oldest
around that.
being what age?
I'm
The
sorry?
oldest.
I do not know the oldest
Oh,
age, but they do age out fairly quickly.
Okay, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
ask. So what's the retirement age for them?
I'm not going to guess, but I will come back to you. I don't want to give you the wrong retirement age on
Well,
the K9s.
because I was wondering if someone else uses them, then.
So when the dog reaches, the K9 officer reaches retirement, they are first offered to their K9 partner, the human partner.
Right.
If they've already got one or there's not a desire, then they'll be offered to other law enforcement officers and then general public. But usually our K9 officers are kept by their human handlers and partners.
Thank you.
Under community engagement, we're really excited about this Gerda Grocery Market pop-up. Want to thank Commissioner Reeves, who hosted a Gerda Grocery Market pop-up on September 23rd at Sonia Singleton Gregory Senior Center in Ellenwood, as well as District 4 Commissioner Allen, who hosted a pop-up on October 14th at the Jimmy Hugh Recreation Center right here in Jonesboro. Free groceries, including fresh produce, meats, and dairy products, were provided to 100 seniors and families. MARTA also provided giveaways, including backpacks and coloring books, loaded breeze cards, as well as general program updates regarding our system. The Ellenwood Grocery Pop-Up was the 5th one that we had this year, and we have at least 2 more to go. And we're grateful to the chairwoman, Anderson Henry, who tomorrow will be hosting another pop-up at the Carl Rotenizer Recreation Center in Rex. And in District 4, Commissioner Davis, who will host on December 4th a pop-up at Valley Hill Baptist Church in Riverside. So we are, get the word out.
Riverdale.
I'm sorry, I said Riverside, Riverdale, excuse me. River, my apologies. On Thursday, October 23rd, I attended the Aerotropolis board meeting to talk about MARTA projects and initiatives happening in South Metro region, including all of the major projects occurring in Clayton County. And pictured on the right is Commissioner Allen and Commissioner Reeves visiting our bus facility. We had a great time hosting you, and thank you for coming. And do feel free to come back and see other facilities and potentially a new rail car.
Well, pretty soon we're going to have our own OEM facility
You
in
better
Forest Park,
believe
so
it.
we can just
Well, that's
go
a
right
ground-
down the street.
We'll have a groundbreaking and a ribbon cutting, so we cannot wait. In October, I had the pleasure of briefing Clayton County delegation on MARTA's projects in Clayton, as well as other legislative priorities in the upcoming session. It was great to see you, Chairwoman, as well as Commissioner Hambrick, there as well, advancing Clayton's legislative priorities for the upcoming session. And last week, myself and a few others from my staff, in the picture on the right is Chief Creer, our head of police, and Ralph McKinney, who's our head of safety, participated in Clayton County's Chambers Golf Classic. And I want to thank my board member, Williams, for inviting us. And as always, great to see you, Chairwoman. We had an amazing time. Thank you for your time today, and I would take any additional questions that you may have on anything MARTA related.
Yes. I do have one question or ask. For the opening of the OM facility, can we begin to create a Clayton County job fair as early as possible to begin to let our residents know the positions available within MARTA, as well as beginning to prepare them for the opening of that facility?
That's a great idea, no problem.
Well, that's what I want to talk with you all about, and there's no better place to start than District 2.
We love all of Clayton County, and we will.
Well, the facility is in
It's in
District 2.
District
I
It's in
know,
District
I
2.
know, I know.
Yeah.
Yes, is the
And we've
answer.
done that before
Yes.
in previous years. I don't know if anybody on staff has been a part of that.
They have.
So that's my ask, as soon as
No
possible.
problem.
If I can get with, or Tina can get with someone from your staff.
Just taking a quick note. We'll make that happen.
Any other questions, Commissioner Reeves? All right. Well, thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Hunt.
much,
We
Chairwoman.
appreciate you, and I just want to say we're going to keep pushing and making sure MARTA gets everything that they need so we can get y'all started with that BRT and here in
I would
Clayton.
like to
Cannot
change
wait.
that so we can get everything we need.
We need.
Agreed.
We need, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next will be our upcoming judicial legislation from Judge Mack. Is Judge Mack in? All right, Judge Mack is not here, but I would like to recognize our Clayton County Chamber President, Ms. Valencia Williamson. Would you please stand to be recognized, Ms. Williamson? All right, thank you for all you do. She had an awesome golf tournament last week, and again, thank you for all that you all are doing and working with us on our workforce development here in Clayton County. Next will be an introduction of our new lobbyist, Georgia Link Public Affairs Group, and Mr. Is Trip Edge. Okay, Edge. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, it's a real pleasure to be with y'all tonight. My name is Arthur Edge. I am with the lobbying firm of Georgia Link Public Affairs Group. Tonight, I've got with me 3 of my partners. We're missing 2 because there are other client meetings tonight. But just briefly, if I could introduce them to you, if that'd be okay.
Fine.
First, Mr. Tripp Martin, right here. Tripp founded our firm in 1992. He's been a long time lobbyist at the legislature. Some would say a legend down there. And has worked and is well known by all the members in the House and the Senate on both sides of the aisle. Secondly, Elise Murray. Elise has joined us, and she has several years of lobbying experience as well, and we're delighted to have her as she joined us this year. And then finally tonight, Brad Bohannon. Brad just came with us as well. Excuse me, I'm fighting a little bit of a cold, but Brad was formerly the Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor Kemp and left the governor's office and has joined our firm. We were very excited to have him come join us along with Elise this year. Two other partners I do want to mention, Boyd Pettit, who joined the firm in '92 with Tripp. Boyd is a long-time, he's an attorney by trade and is a long-time county and city attorney, which comes in very handy when dealing with representing with clients like Clayton County and other governmental entities. Boyd's got a lot of good experience from a legal side and otherwise there. And then Jay Roberts, who's also with us. Jay was a former House member. He was chair of the Transportation Committee in the State House. He left the House and became the planning director for Georgia DOT. He was first appointed by Governor Deal, then reappointed by Governor Kemp. He left DOT and joined us, so his experience working at DOT and the contacts and knowledge he has of that department, I think, will be invaluable as we serve Clayton County. But just as in summary, in terms of our firm, we've got three former legislators. Myself, I was in the state Senate for 10 years. Mr. Pettit was in the House for 10 years. And Mr. Roberts was in the House, I believe, for 14 years. And so we've got good balance from the House and the Senate. And I think we feel like we have good relationships on both sides of the Capitol and both sides of the aisle. So we were very excited and very honored to have been chosen to represent Clayton County. We've had experience in representing county governments and city governments before. We feel like we've compiled a good track record when we've done that, and we look forward to working with you. I received a list of your legislative priorities, and I took the liberty, we met as a firm and went through those. If I could pass this out, Madam Chair.
Okay.
If time permits tonight, Madam Chair and members of the commission, I was just going to kind of run through some of our thoughts on these priorities as we start to dig into those. Your first priority was dealing with airport revenue equity. And having been around the Capitol a few years, I understand this has been an ongoing issue for quite a while and something, frankly, that needs to be addressed. Clayton County is not being treated fairly in this regard, and we firmly believe that and are determined to try to do something about that. One of the complicating factors, of course, is you've got several governments involved in this: the City of Atlanta, Fulton County, College Park, and Clayton County. One of the things we're going to need to do is get with your staff and determine how the current revenue structure or lack of revenue structure was put in place. Are there contracts that exist, intergovernmental contracts, those types of things? Are there bonds that have been issued by these other entities, governmental entities, that rely on some of those revenues, and what is the situation with those bonds? And finally, we're going to need to determine, is this something that can be done from a legislative standpoint or an intergovernmental standpoint? We'll have to see how that goes, but that's something we want to sit down with your legal team and get answers to that, then determine a path forward in that. Flood mitigation and resilience funding, our recommendation on that is we will set up meetings with GEFA, the Georgia Environmental Financing Authority, the Department of Community Affairs. We also would be looking at working with the legislature and your local delegation for general appropriations. Don't know, and this is something that y'all may have looked at and may have in place, developer impact fees. So when development takes place here, there are fees that charge that when they're going to put, they're going to be taxing your infrastructure, and also federal assistance. We'd want to talk to the U.S. senators and your congressmen to talk about, is there some federal dollars that might be available as well. Healthcare access and safety net funding. Obviously, I think one of our first stops on that would be with the Department of Public Health, also the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, to see what we can do from a resource standpoint to look at possibly more clinics, mental health services, those types of things. And also, of course, also look at state appropriations in the general budget. Again, working with your legislative delegation. On transportation, infrastructure, and transit connectivity, DOT, and we'll be working, as I mentioned earlier, very closely with Mr. Roberts on this. You already received local maintenance improvement grants. We'd want to talk to your folks about that. How much are you getting? Where are those going? What are your priority lists? We then would go to the Department of Transportation with a priority list so that we can sit down with them and say, these are the targets we want to try to get funding for, meet with them. Your T-SPLOST and your regular SPLOST, is that being used, and how's that being used? Obviously meet with MARTA, and once again, state appropriations there. Beautification funding, we would want to look to DOT. They have a grant program that can be used. We'd want to look at applying for that. Again, back with GFA, that's something that might help when you're doing some infrastructure improvements. You might also be able to do some environmental and beautification fundings. I've seen projects before where they put in new infrastructure, water, sewer, that type of thing, and then do parks along with that sort of development. So that's something we want to look at. And then also with the Department of Community Affairs and the Department of Natural Resources. On workforce development and job training, Greg Dozier, who is the Commissioner of the Department of Adult and Technical Education Training, he is a good friend, someone we've worked with very closely in the past. We'd want to talk with Commissioner Dozier about what opportunities are already here in Clayton County, and can we see about what expansion we can use, and talk about the type of offerings for training that you mentioned in your priority list. The elevation of Southern Regional to a level 1 trauma center. We will need to talk with Southern Regional about this, see exactly what services they would need to bring online to reach that level, and what are we talking about from an estimated cost, and then look at state funding. We also, one of our clients is the Georgia Hospital Association. We've worked with them for a number of years, so we feel like maybe we can get some help from that regard as well. There's no question that there's a definite need for another level 1 trauma center here in this area, and something I think we can get some support for. Finally, an increase in detainee fees for airport arrest. And again, I know this has been sort of a perennial issue for Clayton County. The law sets the rate currently. The legislature has the opportunity to raise that. Given sort of the unique situation you've got here in Clayton County, where you have to take these people who are arrested in, that's something from a legislative standpoint we can try to address, and perhaps seek to amend the legislation so that there would be a specific set aside or a rate for arrests made at the airport that Clayton County is required to do. So that's something that potentially could be handled by legislation. Our next steps, we're going to be working on setting up a meeting with your legislative delegation, and of course anyone from the commission that's interested in attending that. Set the meetings I've mentioned with the state departments and agencies. Develop this priority list for DOT. Get a legal opinion on the revenue equity and see where we are there. Work with Southern Regional, as I mentioned, to develop the needs and costs to achieve this status, and then draft legislation to increase the detainee fees for airport arrest. Just real quickly, unless there are questions about those items, how we operate typically is this for our clients. When you hire Georgia Link, you get all of us, and we'll all be working on this. We typically designate 1 or 2 people as the lead for the client. In this case, it would be myself and Mr. Pettit, given his background in local government. So we would be working most closely, but you know, if we've got an issue and Mr. Martin's got a better relationship with a certain legislator, we're going to call on him to go see them. So you get all of us. During the legislative session, every day, all of us, every partner in the firm, we review every bill and every resolution that's introduced. We go over those to see if it might have any impact from a positive standpoint or a negative standpoint for Clayton County. If it does impact you in some way, then we're going to put this on what we call your tracking sheet. That is a list of bills that we keep updated every day, and we'll send this electronically to y'all, and you can disperse this to whoever you think is appropriate. But that way you've got a list of each bill that's pending. It tells you the status of that bill. Is it in committee? Has it passed the House? Is it in the Senate? What's going on with that? And of course, we'll be talking with you and your designees about the status of these bills, if it's necessary to have testimony hearings, those type of things. We also, every Friday during the session, we're going to send you a report of sort of an overall summary of what took place at the legislature that particular week. So you're going to get a report of bills specific to Clayton County, but you're also going to get sort of a general update of what's going on there as well, just so you'll have that for your perusal. So we want to keep you up to date. We'll be available. We'll be talking, obviously, to you and your folks on a as needed basis as things heat up in the legislature. It'll be here before we know it, so we've got a lot of work to do. But again, we are excited about working with you and these priorities that you've outlined, and certainly look forward to hopefully a very long and productive partnership. I'll be glad to take any questions, Madam Chair.
All right, board members, are there any questions at this time?
Yes.
Commissioner,
What was your name again?
Arthur Edge.
Arthur Edge.
Mr. Edge.
I'm better known as Skin. That's what
That's
what I've been called.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah.
I know that I'm a retired state employee.
I remember.
and
Yes, ma'am.
so,
I remember.
And that
Yeah.
name is very familiar. So are you the
I'm
Skin?
I'm him.
Okay.
For better or for worse, I'm him.
I just remember our delegation from back.
Yes,
that
yes,
had
absolutely.
a working relationship and all that. Okay, well, you've answered most of my questions
Great.
and all, because I was going to ask if we were going to have one person dedicated to Clayton, because I'm sure you have other clients. And the other one was a relationship with Southern Regional.
Yes.
If you all would meet and talk with our CEO, Ella Lena,
Be glad to.
please. She's really pro Clayton, and I just love the working relationship she has with others and all. And I think she would be a good resource
Absolutely.
in helping, to get some of the things going, which she has already started working on. But I
We
think that-
we know what a valuable asset Southern Regional is, and we work very closely with them.
Okay. One person dedicated. Number one, under airport revenue
Yes.
equity.
Yes.
And I have a thing about this because when I came in office, my thing was, what is Clayton County getting from the airport, those kind of things. And at that time, we started collecting what we call fees from the concessionaires.
Yes.
And that was stopped. I don't have to call the name of the person, a legislator out of Spalding County, has nothing to do with Clayton, but anyway.
I remember.
Okay, good, okay. And that has been not settling well with me.
Yes,
Especially
ma'am.
since it was taken away and with all the ramifications and everything they said was gonna happen if we continued to take money and all, because we started getting millions. We didn't have any complaints. First of all, City of Atlanta was fine with that. And the concessionaires, except a few that
Right.
were fine with it, because all they were doing is just, attaching, I guess some kind of tax or whatever on the bills of the folk coming through the airport. So,
Right.
They could care less. So I want us to.
Yeah, they don't care who they pay. They
Exactly.
just tell us who to pay and we'll pay it.
Right, and that was their thing, and we were getting the money and all. So since that legislator has left
Yes.
the General Assembly and all, I would like for us to revisit that. I don't know what
Absolutely.
the process would be, and
Well, as I say, we're going to have to determine, we're going to have to look at sort of how we got to where we are. Is it legislation plus intergovernmental contracts? We're going to have to take a look at all of that to see exactly what road we need to go.
can we put that one, I know we have a lot of things here, but can we prioritize that?
That is y'all,
Because the money was really coming in.
that is y'all's call, but certainly, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Skin?
It's great to see you again.
All right, Commissioner Davis.
Yes, thank you for coming and assisting us with our priorities here.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the airport revenue equity one, you mentioned the bonds. How would that affect
Well,
our revenue?
and this is something Mr. Pettit brought up when we were meeting to talk about this, and he could probably explain it better than I can, but if you've got certain revenue streams, sometimes then you can issue bonds based on the revenues
Right.
paying those bonds, obviously. The question is, the current revenues, and they're going different places and not to Clayton County, are they obligated to certain bonds? If so, when are those bonds paid out?
Okay.
We've got to find that out.
Okay, thank you on that one. And then two, we do have impact fees that will be going into,
Good,
going in, I think it's April of 2026.
Next year.
good.
And my last question was dealing with, definitely I want to know when these, that wasn't a question, but when the legislative delegation meetings will be set. I would definitely love to sit in on those.
I'm sorry, couldn't.
When you begin to create the legislative delegation meetings, I would love to sit in on that. If I
Yes,
could be-
absolutely.
Thank
We
you.
will- Any of you that want to do that, that would be fine, or somebody from your staff if they want to sit in, absolutely.
Just
Commissioner
one quick
Hammer?
thing. At one of our meetings, I think when the vote was taken to hire you all,
Yes,
one of
ma'am.
our citizens mentioned about getting reports. I'm not sure how often, but do you all have that set up already, or?
Yes, ma'am. As I said, you'll be getting the reports on the legislation itself. There'll be a list of each bill, but we'll also be giving you reports dealing with what is going on with that legislation. You know, if we've got some legislation on the detainee fees or the equity funding, whatever it is, we'll be getting you a report saying, here's where this is, here's what's going on with it. We've got a hearing next week, or it passed the committee, now we're in the Rules Committee, whatever the situation is.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
would like to
and
make a
y'all, we'll
request.
send that to y'all electronically, and if you want to send that out to whoever, that's up to y'all.
Well, but I would like for you all to come.
Oh, absolutely.
Since
Yes. Oh, yeah,
The
we-
session is what, about 3 months?
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. We definitely will do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll come.
So our public will know where their money is going.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. No, we will absolutely have probably either myself or Mr. Pettit here to report to you during the session, so you can hear it from us face to face and answer any questions that you have.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you. Welcome to Clayton County, and I need y'all answering your phones, because if you don't, I will be calling you out. I want to, because we got a lot of work to do.
We do, but we look forward to it, and we'll answer the phone, don't you worry.
Yeah, because we have some people that don't, and so I need y'all answering and making sure we take care of
Yes,
this
ma'am.
county. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
That's very fair.
All right.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Edge. Next, we will have item number 4, Fort Gillum Data Center, and Manager Scott Glenn.
So I am not Scott Glenn, but I am Rochelle Dennis.
Rochelle,
the-
did you tell them that Scott was
No,
coming?
no, no, he's coming. I'm gonna give him.
Okay,
I'm gonna give
okay.
you to him in just a second. But I am Rochelle Dennis, Madam Chair and Board of Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us this evening and allowing us to come before you. I am Rochelle Dennis. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Forest Park. And it is my absolute honor to present to you Scott Glenn, our partner with Digital Realty, to talk about the data center that is being constructed at the former Fort Gillum, now known as the Gillum Logistics Center. So I'm going to turn it over to Scott Glenn, who's going to walk you through everything about the project. And I also believe my buddy back there, Ed Wall, is going to bring up the rear. Thank you.
Is it 6 p.m. yet? It looks like it is. Good evening.
You can say good evening, sir.
Madam Chair and Commissioners, thank you for having me. I'm Scott Glenn. So I'm here to introduce you to Digital Realty, which is the company that I represent, and the project that we have underway at the former Fort Gillum facility that we plan to build a data center on, and actually 2 buildings. So just a bit about who Digital Realty is. We are the world's largest data center provider. We serve over 5,000 customers in 50 markets around the world. We have over 300 data centers, the vast majority in North America, but we have data centers in Europe, Latin America, and Asia as well. We are a publicly traded REIT, so our business is real estate and data centers in particular. So as of today, we do have 2 operational facilities in the greater Atlanta area, both being in downtown Atlanta. 56 Marietta, which you see on the left there, is Atlanta's in the Southeast's most interconnected facility, which means it has the most dense population of providers, customers, and for a bit of information as to how data centers function, you have interconnected facilities like 56 Marietta, where you have providers actually interacting with each other and directly with the internet. And then you also have hyperscale or scale type facilities, which are larger facilities which do most of the processing. So they're where a lot of the servers live. There are servers that live in here as well, but these facilities combined are just over 10 megawatts of IT power, we call it. So that is how we measure our sales, not in square feet, as some traditional real estate companies might. We measure our revenues in power, IT power. So of the customers we have, and 250 Williams, which serves right down the street as an offshoot of our 56 Marietta facility to house additional servers and connectivity, but you'd likely recognize customers like Google, Netflix, Microsoft, Apple. They all have public deployments in those facilities. So a bit about what we are doing at Fort Gillem. So as you all know, it's a decommissioned Army facility. As a result, there's quite a bit of environmental issues with the site, namely landfill. So as part of bringing this site up to developable capacity, we do plan to spend greater than $100 million on remediating that landfill, testing and remediating any methane that might be present as a result, and making sure that this is developable and a clean site from what was left from the Army, which is tons and tons and tons of physical tons of trash and environmental hazards. So to give you a bit of information as to what we plan to build here, we plan to build two facilities, one in a scale or hyperscale construction type that is going to be the largest of the two facilities. That will likely be targeted at possibly one, two, just a handful of customers at most. The second facility, which will be immediately adjacent, will be a co-location facility similar to what we offer at 56 Marietta and 250 Williams, which could have hundreds of customers within the same space, offering all sorts of different services to each other, which then serves the broader internet as a whole. So in total, they'll be just under 2 million square feet and serve 216 total megawatts of what we call IT capacity. All will be built using closed-looped water systems to conserve water as much as possible. They'll have sound dampening generator housings that reduce sound to a level of 75 decibels at 50 feet, which is about the average of your vacuum cleaner at home. And we also plan to build physical boundaries between any neighboring parcels to include sound barrier fencing and a physical berm. We also plan to build it with the highest efficiency standards, as all of our buildings are targeted for very high efficiency, as that directly ties through to our business model. So every kilowatt of power that we do not use to give to our customers is lost. So anything that's used on the rest of the building is lost revenue for us. So here is a general view of the site plan. So you'll have building on the left there, that will be about 192 megawatts. And then the second building, as I mentioned, which will be 24 megawatts, with a substation that will directly serve both of these buildings on site. So in total investment, will likely be closer to that $2.5 billion figure, could be a bit higher. And that basically gets us to everything before customers actually put in their servers. So that would be cooling equipment, generators, site remediation, putting up the physical building. All of our sites have very strict security measures, as these facilities all do. So it'll be building security measures and making sure that our facilities have everything necessary. So that'll be an all-in cost of developing here. This site plans to create quite a few jobs. So at full scale, our site will serve 100 plus on-site jobs, all hired locally. During the construction phase, that number would be greater than 3,000. That was a conservative estimate by our general contractor for all of the construction work that will be necessary on a facility of this size. But operationally, Digital Realty employees will be over 100 full-time employees. That includes engineers, mostly, what we call remote hands technicians, which are the people physically plugging in connections, and then admin and security staff to support. The vast majority will not require college degrees, and we do work in programs, which I'll show you in just a minute, to hire locally and to develop talent for our industry. As I'm sure you heard, it's a vastly growing industry, especially here in the Atlanta area. And because our services and our data centers run 24/7, we need them to be staffed 24/7 physically. These are not jobs that can be done remotely or done by a computer. They need to be done locally and by people who live in the area. So we need local community engagement and to bring in local jobs. And this is what I mentioned. Currently in Northern Virginia, which is our largest market, we do have quite a few programs that aim to bring in local jobs. So we have internship programs where we hired 46 total positions to date of 80 total interns. We have an apprenticeship program where a company has active apprentices in our data centers working today. And then we're also working with Ms. Dennis and the Forest Park team on a community benefit agreement as to how we might be best able to serve the community here. And obviously we try not to come into communities, and though we are already in Atlanta, and tell you all how best we can serve you. So we are happy to listen and to understand how we might be able to be good stewards and implement any of these programs. Understand there are technical colleges and areas and high schools that we might be able to interact with to help show that this is a viable career path, and even more so as we go into this kind of next age of computing. So happy to field any questions or comments as to that as we go on.
Any questions at this time? I have a question, and I don't know if you can help me with this, Mr. Sanford. So, I'm gonna ask you first. So you're asking for tax abatement?
That's correct.
And so how is that benefiting us as a county government? Because that means that we need revenue coming in. And so I know that you all are providing a lot of things, and and you're providing jobs and all of that.
Correct.
But as far as revenue, how much would come in if we did the tax abatements or whatever, versus how much would come in if we didn't do the tax abatements?
Yeah, I think Mr. Wall has all the figures out. I'm not sure if you would be best maybe to speak to
because
that.
we need to see
mill rates.
Yeah,
and
I want to see what's the dollar amount.
Of course.
What's the bottom line?
Yeah, and
Because
it'll depend obviously
if we keep giving tax abatements to everybody who comes in, then we're not going to make any money. So
No, of course, and-
I need to see what the bottom line
course.
is and what makes sense for our county.
Good evening, Madam Chair. How you doing?
I'm good.
Did you send the commissioners the Excel spreadsheet that I sent you? Yeah. Okay, so I'll get that Excel spreadsheet to you. The project's $3 billion, and what the regular way tax abatement that Forest Park agreed with the county was a 10-year tax abatement starting at 50%, declining 5% each year. Same thing the County Development Authority does. Okay. Right now, that property was owned by the Army and then the Forest Park Urban Redevelopment Agency, so it hadn't been paying any property taxes. Of that $3 billion, $1.2 billion roughly is going to be equipment that appreciates, the computers and stuff, and $1.8 billion was a real property. So it's $3 billion total. The total taxes that would be paid to Clayton County without a tax abatement starts at $18 million in year one, and it goes down each year because that equipment's being depreciated each year.
Okay.
And so the total for 10 years is $143 million
Okay. And that's without a tax abatement?
without a tax
Okay.
abatement. So it's about 18 million, 16, 15, 13, 12, and then 13 a year.
Mr. Wall, can you repeat that total amount again after 10 years?
So over 10 years without a tax abatement, it's $143 million a year.
Okay.
Whereas, now it's paying us nothing. So it's a really big deal.
Okay.
If we do the tax abatement, your 50% the first year, it'll drop your collections from 18 million to 9 million.
To 9 million, okay.
And then, just like that, the next year's a 45% abatement, so it drops your taxes from 16 million to 7 million too. So you go on down over 10 years, the total taxes that they would pay is $90 million, and so the tax abatement would be a $53 million incentive that you're giving the data center.
And what if they decide to leave or something like that? Are they still, does the tax abatement still, or whatever, if they just decide to leave, does it still stand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions at this time, board members?
Was there more to the presentation?
And there is, apologies if there was any confusion. I was speaking to the economic development programs, but there are a few more slides. It's really just
Okay.
a little bit more about the jobs that and the job types here. So just to give some estimated salary ranges.
I knew you had some more. I was just asking them if they wanted to ask you anything in regards to the tax abatements or
Okay,
anything.
perfect.
Thank you. All right.
Okay, great, sorry. Okay, great. So just some high levels as I mentioned, the types of jobs that we have here and the estimated salary ranges. So we have everything from security and support staff, which are very entry level type positions, up to lead engineers and managers who are making well over $100,000 a year. Engineering is our largest employer here. We have generally about one engineer for every 3 megawatts worth of capacity, and a little bit more when you talk about the smaller facility. So at this building, you're going to have about 60 to 70 engineers that serve the facility, and they can be making anywhere from, as noted here, $75,000 to $135,000 is the general compensation range. And I spoke about this a little bit prior, and how we build our facilities. But these are some of the high levels that I mentioned. The noise mitigation, all of our generators are EPA compliant. The closed loop water systems, which I think is probably the biggest topic surrounding data centers right now, is water usage, and closed loop systems are the most advanced form of our cooling, and Digital Realty's standard design as a leader in this industry, which reduces water use by hundreds of times when you compare it to an evaporative cooling system, which some of our competitors and less savvy data center operators may still use, though that's getting phased out as more and more data centers realize the cost, first of all, of the water, and then obviously the community impact. This site also will have very minimal traffic. It will sit near an active Kroger distribution facility, and to compare the two, we will have the only traffic that will be coming in will be the traffic of our employees, so as I mentioned, just over 100, and then any employees of the data center with any deliveries, which are minimal. So the other employees may be customer employees that sit on site, so there would be additional jobs there, but those will be served and hired by customers. Also, because of this, we don't plan on importing talent, so we don't expect it to be a drain on existing resources here. We do expect to hire locally and use existing talent. And then you have myself, Catherine Cortova is our property tax director, and Benjamin Brooks, who's here with us today, who is our bond counsel on the project. So with that, happy to open it up to any other questions about the abatement, our project, Digital Realty as a whole, data centers, generally happy to answer any questions.
All right, board members, are there any questions at this time?
I just have a quick, what do you consider local? You say you'll be hiring locally, so
Yeah.
what do you consider locally?
Well, anybody who can be at the data center every day, meaning, on a normal schedule, an in-person job. So that can be, we have some folks at our current facility that live, because our facilities are downtown, that live in the suburbs, north and south of the city, that commute, an hour in. But we'd prefer to have them as close as possible. I mean, these will be not necessarily 9 to 5 jobs. There will be 9 to 5 shifts, but these will be 24/7. So there will be shifts around the clock of folks who need to occupy this data center and be on site to do the work that we need to do here. So as locally as can be for those customers. I mean, obviously we will put out the application to anybody in the area, but we expect it to be within driving distance. with
So
most
do
of
you
these
bring
people.
people in from other states, since you're all over the North American part of the countries?
No, we don't plan to. So other than folks like myself, I work in our corporate finance department, and I oversee multiple sites. But the folks that are on our individual sites are specific to those sites. So no, we do not plan on any employees that would be sitting here would not be imported necessarily from other areas. There'd be regional support teams, but these will be hired all locally because they will need to serve this particular facility.
Now, I know you mentioned Clayton State in your presentation.
Yep.
Are you already working with Clayton State
No,
University?
we are not. We had a few examples of, because of the work we do in Northern Virginia, of items that we would be open to participating in. So Clayton State, locally being an area where we might be able to focus and introduce people to our line of business.
Okay, and our Clayton public school system.
Of course.
I would also add on there Atlanta Technical College. We do have a satellite campus here in Clayton County. I know Rochelle is nodding.
All right, Ms. Dennis, will you approach?
Yes.
So, City of Forest Park stood up in April of this year our very first workforce development initiative called Elevate. And our partners in that are Clayton State, Clayton County Public Schools, Atlanta Technical College, Clayton County Chamber of Commerce. So we have truly pulled the best of the best together to address workforce development, specifically in the City of Forest Park. Part of what we're working through with Digital Realty right now with the Community Benefits Agreement is recruitment and recruiting hyper-local. And so for us, hyper-local means Forest Park, but also extending outside of Forest Park to Clayton County as a whole. So we're kind of looking at Forest Park #1, then the rest of the county, and then everybody else within the region. So can't necessarily guarantee that every employee that comes to eventually work for Digital Realty will be a Forest Park or Clayton County resident, but that is our absolute priority and our #1 push.
Okay. Somewhere I've heard about that whole area, the Fort Gillum area, that they were not paying county taxes. Now, if they're not paying county taxes, how is this company
That's what I was saying.
gonna be delegated to paying
That who
or
wasn't paying.
obligated to paying county taxes?
Well, I'm not sure exactly who you're referring to that isn't paying county taxes. That I'm not sure, but I
Is
will
Kroger or
say.
any of the other
Well, I
companies
will
out
say
there?
in general broad strokes, and I can get you the more detailed,
Tax assessor is here.
right, the more detailed on who is and is not.
Okay.
Gillum largely came together through a series of tax abatements.
Right.
So thank you.
Mr. Emmett,
So, Commissioner Hamrick, you're right. From 2014 to 2018, the businesses that located in Fort Gillum, there was an agreement with the county and the schools and the city that all the property taxes that would be paid on those jurisdictions would be paid, other than the tax abatement that went to the company, to the Forest Park Development Authority, and they would use that to pay the Army the $30 million to buy the property together with land sales. And once the Forest Park had accumulated enough money to pay off the $16 million infrastructure bond and the $30 million Army purchase price, Forest Park would no longer keep all of the taxes. And so they did a memorandum of understanding with the county in 2018 that said every bond issue done for a tax abatement from that point forward, if there was a tax abatement given, it would be in the state for years, and the county and the school board would receive their pro rata share based on the millage rate. So from 19 to today, the county's been collecting taxes on all the properties that are out there at Fort Gillem. And then when this data center was being zoned and the land acquired, Forest Park needed access at the top end of it. And so they did an easement with you, and part of that easement was before Forest Park gave any tax abatement, they would seek your permission as to whether to do it or not. And that's why they're here tonight. The County Development Authority, you know, they also have a data center. They're doing a tax abatement. They haven't come to ask your permission, but Forest Park, in honor of that agreement, had Digital Realty come here. They'll go to the school board next week and ask them, do they want to do it? And then lastly, the tax abatement that Forest Park is giving, there are clawbacks in it. And so you all know in your life, you can't condition zoning on anything. But a tax abatement, you can. And so if you want them to hire local, you want them to reach out and do local job fairs, you make that as a condition. And some people call it community benefits agreement, but it can actually be written right into the tax abatement language. So when you consider, do you want to participate in this tax abatement, you can then require as part of your participation anything under the sun that they agree to.
Okay, so how far along are you all with this project?
So we've started clearing the land. So we started in August. So we don't expect to deliver what we call our first suite, our first leasable area to customers until early 2028. So we have begun, but we still have a good 2 years, and the vast majority of that is in clearing. So generally our facilities can be constructed in 18 months on a normal site. So we've had to add some pretty significant time to this project to bring the land up to a developable state.
So are you all paying us taxes now? I guess that's you.
I would have to,
Mr.
as far as the
George.
taxability, see where the parcel they've actually been still subdividing, and I'm sorry, good evening. They've been still finishing out some subdivision so the parcels are right now being created for for 2026 tax year. Right now it is a big parcel of land that's being subdivided out even more. Each year there's kind of some more divisions that go on out there. And so the lands that are out there that sit as they stand vacant are actually being taxed, but at vacant land. So, you know, you're talking in collection tens of thousands, an estimate based on the values and all that at current. I'm sorry, you got a confusion. So yes, they are being taxed depending on how the parcels are broken out. So if the parcel has already been broken out to the entity's name, there is no exemption or anything on that. If it still sits in the Forest Park's name, then that is still an exempt, because just like if something was in Clayton County's name. So not knowing exactly, because I'm actually just getting in on some of this information and finding out, so I don't know which parcel we're talking about.
So I'll answer it exact. TPA Group purchased 135 acres at the top end of Fort Gillem, and they sold you about 65 acres. And so they did that earlier this year. And so taxes are assessed on whoever owns the property on January 1. So January 1 of 25, the Forest Park Urban Redevelopment Agency owned it. So nobody's getting any taxes.
Right, I was about to say, I know
Starting
you-
January 1 of 26, he'll go out there and assess that whole 135 acres. The 65 acres owned by him, whatever they paid TPA Group for, he'll know what that is. And I'm satisfied it was more than 130,000 that the city sold it to them for. And the 60 acres they got left, well, we know that they bought it from us at $130,000 an acre. So he'll put a tax card on it on January 1, and everybody pays taxes on January 1.
And that's what I was saying, is like I said, not knowing exactly which parcel this was at the time, If it was still in the Forest Park's name, then it wasn't been, but now that the transfers happened, I know which parcel of dirt we're talking about up there, and we're still getting, we've got that plat. We'll have that divided out and valued, and it will be a taxable parcel because it will be in an entity's name other than a municipality or something.
Okay, let's not forget that.
Oh, no. We got that.
January 1.
We'll have it before then, but yes.
Any other questions at this time?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I have a question for Ed, just, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
It's more of an aside about the data center, more about Commissioner Hambrick's tax abatement question. The process in which there was a 10 years of the taxation for Fort Gillum going to the Forest Park Development Authority.
It was
I mean,
4 years, 14 to 18.
Was that like tantamount to a tax allocation district? Is that similar
Yeah.
to a TAD? Okay.
You could say that, yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's why I said it was an aside. It has nothing to do with data centers. Okay. Mr. Glenn. Okay. First question, it is great to finally know who owns 55 Marietta. That is.
56.
Okay, 56 Marietta.
55 is an office building, I believe, for sale currently, right across the street. They're trying to do data centers there, from my understanding.
Fascinating. So, as I'm sure you know, Clayton County you all are one of 2 data centers that have broken ground in Clayton County. They are both in my district, in District 1 Northeast, so Forest Park and Ellenwood. And so some of the biggest concerns that I hear from folks is about their proximity to the data centers. And here there is a data center in downtown Atlanta that is operating on a commercial strip of land in downtown Atlanta. So I'm just curious of any comments that you have heard or what individuals' feedback is around having a data center so close to other commercial spaces. I'm not sure if there are any residential spaces nearby, but.
There are condos.
Right.
On the whole, most people don't know a data center when they see one. And most people, until they've been told it's a data center, don't actually experience any impacts. They're overstated. We're not taking water directly from people's homes or their electricity that would serve them. And I think the only real impact would be noise. And I think that also is significantly overstated. There was at 250 William Street a few years ago, a neighboring resident in a condo had complained about equipment on the roof that, because they found out it was a data center, they thought was attributable to us. We had sound studies conducted at the site and found that it was actually less than the 75 decibels that we have stated for our generators, and that our equipment was really only producing about 60 decibels worth of sound. Not negligible when you talk about living in a city environment, and definitely not enough to point out. Through further identification, they realized that it was other equipment that lived on the roof, not ours, that because our facilities are made to be as foolproof as possible, these things need to stay up at all times. We keep our equipment top-notch at all times. If things are getting to the end of useful life, we'll replace them. The worst thing that can happen is our facility loses cooling or electrical. That is the reason that we exist and why customers don't just do this themselves. We provide them redundancy and security so that things stay up. And I say that because it means that you're not going to have rusted, broken down equipment that's going to be making all this noise and causing issues, or things that fall out of compliance that could be shut down. That's very dangerous to our business model. So realistically, there is minimal impact, and we actually took a few members of the Forest Park Development Authority to view some of our facilities in Northern Virginia, and so I think that they would speak to the fact that being on site, it was minimal.
How long have you been in the Atlanta area, downtown?
So we purchased 56 Marietta in 2014, and then we developed our first suite at 250 Williams in 2015, and we've grown to 3 suites at 250 Williams. 56 Marietta, though, has been in somewhat of its current form for almost 100 years. It's been a telecom facility, former Western Union building, and then a data center at formerly Telex, which was our predecessor in the company that we acquired, which gave us 56 Marietta.
Any other questions?
Oh, I still have tons of questions. So in your presentation, you had mentioned the decibel range for the generators, but
Yep.
I didn't see a decibel range for, or like a radius around the sounds around the building.
Yeah, so those generator housings for when generators run. Our generators very rarely run. They're kept as emergencies, as backup should the grid go down, as hopefully remains the case. The grid has gotten a lot stronger, and especially due to recent investment, Georgia Power has gotten really good at expanding generation and transmission. So those events are rare and rare. And so the reason we call it the generators is because if you didn't have a housing on them, they could be very loud. It's basically, a car, the biggest car engine you've ever seen, if you just operated it without a hood up. So we do put sound dampening enclosures on them. And generally, as I said, the sound studies from our 250 Williams facility showed, 60-ish decibels from some of our cooling equipment, but that was on the roof. And so that's as close as you can be. Most people, when you walk up to a data center, you're not going to hear any more than you would from an office building when you walk up to it, which is nothing.
And then what's the frequency of the testing for the generators?
So generator testing is monthly. Each one gets tested. So the schedules will vary, but the generators will be regularly tested during normal operational hours. So we're not testing overnight. We're testing during the day on regular interval schedules.
Thank you. Ms. Rochelle Dennis. I think the other question that I had was around the community benefits agreement, which I was going to bring up.
Ms. Dennis, you can come
but
up.
since you all are already working on one with
We
the
are.
digital realty group, so I know that you all are coming before this board regarding our decision around the tax abatement. So I'm curious to hear how far along y'all are in the community benefits agreement and what are
I
some of
would
the
say
things
that
that are.
right now we're in like quarter 3 of a 4-quarter game.
Okay.
On our community benefits agreement. We have, the board has taken a deep dive look. We did host, myself and members of the Downtown Development Authority went and did a site tour. When I tell you that you could eat off the floor, first and foremost, it was the cleanest building I've ever been in my life. It is extraordinarily quiet, very, very quiet. And it was a great understanding for the Downtown Development Authority to be able to see it in real time, what they're planning to bring here to the city of Forest Park. Answered a lot of the questions that we had, similar to the questions that you had, and tapped down on a lot of misinformation about data centers and the impact that they have to the community in the region. In terms of the community benefit agreement, I think we are now on round 3 of revisions. The Downtown Development Authority meets again next Thursday, and we are hoping with this last round of changes that we will approve the community benefits agreement on our end to present for Digital Realty to approve on there so we can move forward.
Well, that sounds wonderful. You all are much further along in your community benefits agreement than we are with
We don't
the
mess around.
unincorporated data center, the data center and unincorporated, but that's a whole other
Understood.
conversation. But I wanted to bring up community benefits agreements specifically because when residents hear data center, and let's just start where we know there's confusion between data centers,
Sure.
supercomputers, what is it, Bitcoin
Mining,
mining
right.
facilities, and they are all being lumped together.
Right.
And so that's a separate conversation around, as you said, the disinformation and misinformation. But, one of the biggest benefits to be able to say, okay, there's a data center coming to Clayton County is to tell the residents, well, here is the community benefits agreement, and this is what this data center is bringing to your community.
Correct.
And so I love the idea of the CBAs.
Yeah.
However, the second question then becomes, for a company that brings in as much revenue as data centers do, and maybe this is a question for you, Glenn, why is it that you all are coming before us, before Forest Park Development Authority, for a tax abatement with
So
this
I'm going to
project?
answer one thing real quick, and then I'm going to turn it over to Scott. City of Forest Park hosted, when we first learned that data center was potentially coming into our community, the very first thing that we did was we hosted a town hall.
I was there.
Yeah, and so the town hall went a long way in quieting some of the noise, tapping down on some of the misinformation, and being able to deliver to our community real facts around what a data center means, what that means for our community. Now, as we continue to work through this, and I'll let him talk about the revenue piece, particularly as it relates to community benefits agreement, we are looking at doing a series of ongoing town halls through every iteration or phase of the development of this data center in our community, to, again, stay ever present and mindful of the questions, again, provide the information, educate our community, et cetera, et cetera. And a big part of that is the community benefits agreement. And I'm hoping that by the top of the year, we will have that done. So then we can talk through, here's the community benefit agreement. But I'm going to let Glenn talk about the revenue piece.
So, while you're correct, they do bring in a decent amount of revenue. They are not inexpensive to build or operate. So we aren't operating on, insane margin. They do cost quite a bit. Why specifically I think it's important for us is because, as all of you know, we are not the only data center in town. There are quite a few options. And a big portion of the taxes that I'd mentioned are equipment and specifically personal property that our customers will be bringing in. This facility will not be as valuable, won't be assessed as valuable if it sits vacant. And so in order for us to be able to keep this competitive with all of the data center development that's going on around Atlanta, we need to be price competitive as well. So it would be easy for an Amazon, a Google, Microsoft to say, I mean, at that rate, guys, if you're going to charge us that price, we'll just go build it ourselves. They do have those means. And so we actually operate on tighter margins because we know that we need to fill a very specific subset for them. So it is a matter of competition. We do think that there is a substantial trade-off in the value that we can bring, obviously from a revenue perspective, but from some of the other areas that we can help with as well.
Thank
So
you.
basically, it's for your infrastructure costs, period, basically.
For infrastructure costs, operations, and to
Yeah,
remain
I
price
got you.
competitive in the market, of course.
So that helps. It's communication, us collaborating, so we can get something done. Everybody
course.
can benefit at the end. Gotcha.
I do have a couple of questions.
All right.
First of all, you mentioned that this is going to be a co-location and a hyperscale facility.
That's correct.
My question becomes, with it being I can understand the co-location, but to be a hyperscale hyperscale facility,
Yep.
and you're talking about a closed loop system. My concern, one, is with the amount of energy that is going to be used. Is this going to be a new substation that's sent, or is this going to be a behind the wall new energy source that's going to be there that wouldn't affect the community?
This would be a new substation. There will be additional transmission that Georgia Power is putting in, and in their IRP, they're asking for additional generation. So we're not doing any site generation, and there are pros and cons to doing site level generation as well. I recently attended in Atlanta. There was an Energy Needs of Data Centers conference that the keynote speaker was an executive at Georgia Power, and I think they summed it really well when they said that their investment in energy infrastructure is like building a road. So if you have an issue, if you go out and on your street is the only one in the town, there's going to be a lot of traffic on that street. And if there's two streets and one of them goes down, even more so, there's going to be a lot of traffic on the one remaining street. The more streets that you build, and to tie the analogy back, the more electrical infrastructure and transmission you build, the more it opens up Georgia Power to be able to actually serve residents in the event of outages. So they can prioritize residents who don't keep generators on site to power. They can now use that new generation to serve homes that they may not have, and to serve in the event of the hurricane that came through last year. The new generation and the new power routing that they have was actually used to be able to keep homes on, not as a strain. So they have the infrastructure, and we do have an electrical service agreement in place with Georgia Power. We do have that. They have that planned for our development. They have the infrastructure to serve us and to serve the community. It is not one for one. It's not zero sum. They can do both.
Exactly. So, my thing with that is we're increasing consumption without increasing the resources, which falls now on our residents. That's one. And then two, if we're going to a hyperscale, and Commissioner Reeves did bring up something, I know in most neighborhoods from any kind of data center or any kind of facility, that there's what's called a max and a healthy decibel level. And you stated something about 65. I thought it was somewhere between the neighborhood of 40 to 50 is healthy for a residential area. So that's another thing that I'm concerned with, as well as the potential water consumption of that facility.
Yep.
How much extra water consumption, even though it is closed,
Yep.
is it? But now if you go to hyper, it increases exponentially. And would there be any plans for anybody that is doing a hyperscale to go to a hydrogen cooling facility, which now we're looking at bringing that type of product in?
Yeah, so, and when I say co-location versus hyperscale, what I mean by that is just the product set that would occupy it. So by hyperscale, I mean one customer would likely have the whole facility versus in a co-location facility, it could be 100. So the systems we're operating in them will be identical, obviously at different scales, right? One will be 192 megawatts and one will be 24 megawatts. So the scales are different, but the systems that we're operating are proportionally the same. So the closed loop systems, the way that they operate, and Joseph McLeod and our technical team might be able, if you have more specific in-depth questions about how those facilities operate, might be able to better speak to it. But we fill the systems, and then from there, they operate internally using chemical reactions to recool the water that goes in. And the only items that we would draw off would be for your sinks and toilets like a normal office building would. So once the water is in the system, the usage is minimal. It's the same as your average office building.
So I have a question. So do you all do recyclable water as well? Do some of the data centers do that? Or do you?
Yeah. So we have facilities in Northern Virginia that use reclaimed water. I'm not exactly
Reclaimed.
sure. I think this would be municipal, right?
Many of the closed loops do.
I'm sorry, but state your name, sir.
I'm Joseph McLeod. I'm
Okay.
the Director of Design for the Eastern Time Zone portfolio for Digital Realty. So the closed loop system, even though it's a hyperscale building, we're breaking this building up into suites. So roughly 10 megawatt suites, or actually we're, yeah, it's at 8,000 here, but the cooling plant's a stack. So it's going to be a 16 megawatt cooling plant throughout the building. So it's not going to be 100 or 100 feeding 192 megawatts of IT load with one single mechanical plant. It's going to be, I think it's 20 mechanical plants throughout the building. The closed loop system, once, like Scott said, once you fill it and close it, we are not adding any water. Going back to what he said about reliability, if we're adding water to this, we have issues with our data center and we're not making money. I describe this closed loop system to a lot of people as what you have in your car. Pulls the heat off your engine block, circulates out to the front to your radiator, blows a fan over your water pump in your car, pumps it back to your engine, and just repeats the cycle. If you're adding water to your car, you got a big issue, and that's the same principle that we're doing here.
Okay. The other part is, and I guess this will be to Mr. Walls, with this abatement, what does that $90 million equate to with the millage?
Every 1 mil is about 13 million. So 90
117 million?
divided by 13 is equivalent to 7 mills of
Seven.
property tax.
7 mills in property taxes.
Yes, sir.
So we'd be losing, our millage rate right now is 266, I
Yes.
believe it is?
108, I think.
Okay. I'm close.
14.5.
I'm sorry. So, in a
And so
sense,
remember, we were
without
losing-
collecting that.
We
Go
were
ahead.
losing 53 million if we gave them the tax abatement. It was 90 million with the abatement and 90 plus 53 without it.
Okay, all right.
And so, the 53 million is equivalent to, over 10 years, equivalent to 4 mills.
Great, thank you
Yes, sir.
for that. My last question, so, well, 2 questions. One, does an abatement follow a new buyer?
The answer is yes, sir. They have to meet certain requirements in the documents, and the Development Authority agrees to assign the rights under the tax abatement to a new buyer, provided they have certain net worth levels and experience levels.
Okay, so there's no way around that?
I mean, you could, but, I mean, when you hold the goal, you decide, I mean, well, Forest
I
Park
understand.
is doing it, but as far as your increment, you can set whatever rules you want.
But when you spoke about this abatement, there's, in a sense, 2 separate abatements. The Forest Park has an abatement and Clayton County has an abatement.
Yes, sir, and the
Okay.
school board.
And the school board has an abatement, great. And the last question is, so if this abatement is not granted, would you all not come here, or what would take place?
Yeah, I think the most likely, as I mentioned, we've already broken ground, so I think not coming here is unlikely. However, our facility would be far less valuable, as I mentioned, if it sits vacant. And our ability to fill this up with the tenants that we need to be able to generate assessed tax value would go down significantly if we're not able to be price competitive. So while there may be still a building there with Digital Realty's name on it, it would likely not be anywhere near as valuable. And to be clear, this abatement, though it will last 10 years, our facilities run for far longer than that. Our leases with a single tenant can run 15 plus years. So this will be generating additional revenues long beyond the expiry of this abatement.
Thank you.
Of course. Oh, and just did want to come back to additional generation. We are working with Georgia Power, and you may have seen news about some new regulations that Georgia Power is putting on to data centers and new electrical services agreements to essentially charge it back to us. So understand that is a concern, and I think as far as municipalities go with making sure that those costs are borne on our side, Georgia Power is the most advanced that I've seen in making sure that new generation and new transmission costs that are required for new data centers are borne by us in our energy costs that we pay.
Thank you.
Real quick,
Commissioner
well,
Hamper,
you've answered part of it with the Georgia Power piece, but one of the, and it might be the misinformation, our water authority, have you all been in contact with them or talking with them?
Yeah, and Joseph can probably speak to where we stand on the permitting.
So as far as our land development permit, it's gone before Clayton County Water Authority. They reviewed our sewer plan. Going back to the closed loop system, the water used by the building is going to be standard office building irrigation on the building. So the cooling system isn't going to tax the water authority for the site. So the land development permit has been approved by Clayton County Water Authority.
Did they have concerns, or maybe I should ask them?
Let me ask you a question. Didn't TPA Group get a readiness to serve letter from the Water Authority before they sold it to you?
I believe so, but Tyler? Yeah.
Yeah.
And to be clear, and sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I don't think that that is misinformation generally. There are cooling systems that use quite a bit of water. Okay. They're called evaporative cooling systems. They are no longer our standard. Digital Realty, now our design standard is closed loop systems. And part of the reason for that is because you still have to pay for water. It is far more efficient from a revenue perspective for us to keep closed loop systems and to not be a draw on water systems. So just wanted to speak to, you're not necessarily hearing misinformation that there are systems that can use a lot of water, but we implement some of the most advanced systems that exist to be able to reduce our water usage.
Mr.
And,
Davis? Oh.
excuse me, last thing. What is your abatement, what type of abatement are you getting from Forest Park, and what type of an abatement are you getting from the school system?
Still under
They-
negotiation.
There's still negotiations with the school system.
And so Forest Park, all abatement's gonna be the same, whatever each increment's taxes are. It's 50% for the first year, and then declines by 5% a year for a 10-year abatement. So everybody's giving or offering the same. The Forest Park Downtown Development Authority has not voted yet. I believe that they were probably going to give the abatement. The school board, he hasn't met with them yet. Did I?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Davis?
No,
You
that's-
good?
go ahead.
Well, thank you for the information for tonight,
Oh,
and,
no, I had another question. It was just while we were talking about power and
all
electricity,
right.
just to clarify, I know we briefly talked about the generators, but just to clear any confusion that anyone who is watching tonight's meeting, so that they know that data centers have, and I believe I saw it on your specs, that you will have your own substation. So as far as the data center affecting the electrical grid for their residential neighbors, you all have your own substation that you will be pulling power from that will not affect any of the homes nearby. So just want to
That's
you to
correct. So they
provide that
come off of the big tall electrical lines that you see, not like your local utility pole. And so those big lines serve what could not go to a house that goes to our substation, which then breaks it down and makes it usable power. So yes, all of our power will be based on that substation, which will sit on site.
Oh, yeah. I've learned a lot from Georgia Power about transmission lines, and did I mention that we have 2 data centers in Clayton County?
You said that at first.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, it's
So,
we've gotten quite
but
a bit of press recently. We used to be just things nerds only cared about. Now we have to bring our PR team up so we can answer all these questions.
I just wanted to make sure that was clarified since we were
Of
talking
course.
about electricity and how would it affect residents. Thank you.
Of course.
Are you finished? You good? All right. All right. Any more, are there any more questions, board members? All right. Thank you for the information tonight. And again, we will continue to look in and look at the tax abatements and kind of weigh out some things. I'm talking to some of my other colleagues, and, you know, some say yes, some say no. So I want to make the best decision. So again, thank you for that information tonight.
Yeah, of course. And I think a lot of our biggest issue is that people don't know what a data center is and how it touches them. So if you'd like us to do any question and answers, town halls, any education that might be helpful, we're more than happy to be good stewards and to do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
have
Thank
a
you for
great-
having me.
All right. Next on our agenda will be discussion of the master lease agreement for the fire apparatus pumpers. And Ms. Rogers, please come up.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
It's evening.
It's evening officially. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to circle back around and, of course, have our 2 gentlemen here speak to other things as well. So based on our last meeting with the board, we went ahead and we did the chairwoman executed the purchase agreements for the pumpers. So what we're here tonight to discuss is the financing part. So we need to know how to move forward with the agreements, because we need to still review those. We have 30 days from when we executed and sent them the documents, so that would put us probably around December the 6th, as far as making sure, or December the 5th, that we have the funding in place and an agreement signed. So tonight's meeting, obviously, we have Mr. Walls here, and certainly Chief Sweat, is to discuss the options so that we can determine how we move forward to ensure that we have the agreement in place for you all to approve and to send to the vendor. So I'm gonna probably go to Mr. Walls.
Before
Yes.
you start with Mr.
Yes,
Walls,
ma'am.
I want to hear from Chief Sweat
Okay.
first. Chief Sweat,
Okay.
please come on. I know, I want to hear, what do you think what would be best as far as the agreements and things, and what do you need?
So, thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners. So, Mr. Wall has laid out two different options, and he's leaning more toward one option. In the end, the options are very similar. One option is paying cash for one and financing four. The second option is financing all six, or excuse me, purchasing one, financing five. The second one is financing all six straight out. As I previously stated, historically speaking, managing the fire fund since 2009, as we look to put the organization in debt, that number has grown over the years as our tax digest has grown, as the fire fund has grown. The last time we financed apparatus was in 2020. At that point, my cutoff was around $850. When I say mine, myself, Chief Murkison, as we were managing the fire fund, we backed into a payment to purchase 8 fire engines back in 2020 with a payment, an annual payment just under $850 a year. Looking at this one, I approached the $950 annual payment a year, and that is kind of how I kind of look at the fire fund, understanding that for the next 5 fiscal years, whatever route we go and whatever annual payment number that is, I have to make sure that the fire fund has that annual payment. So back to answer your question, they are both pretty much the same. It accomplishes the same thing. Of course, one, like I said, is financing all 6, and the other one is only financing 5. The recommendations that Mr. Wall will speak to when he finances all 5s, he speaks to the $1 million that I currently have sitting in my fiscal year 26 adopted budget in my capital lease payment account, which is $1 million. He speaks to that $1 million being able to sit and draw interest over the 5 years to help pay the threshold that I was looking at, $950. Roughly speaking, to finance all 6, we're looking at a $1.14 million payment. So he speaks to that interest off the $1 million being able to, at the end of the day, if I stick with my $950 payment, my fiscal year 27 budget is adopted with a $950 annual payment. However, my payment back to the financial institution is $1.14. Then as my payment becomes due in November of next year, I'm gonna have to come back before this board, ask for a budget amendment, because I got to amend in additional revenue to pay the addition of the $950. So if we choose to finance all 6, I will simply budget in fiscal year 27 for that entire annual payment to sit in my budget. That just makes sense, given how we as a government operate and how we do budgets and budget amendments and such. So say all that to say that they're very similar. They're very minuscule when it comes to the savings over the time frame. So I hope that kind of answers your question.
Any questions at this time?
I do have one question, Chief.
Yes, sir.
The 950 versus the 1.4. When you're talking about the payment you're speaking of, has one of them already been budgeted for this fiscal year?
No, so.
You lost me a little bit.
Right.
You having to come back.
So once again, I have to take you back to fiscal year 2020 when we bought our last large pumper purchase. In 2020, we purchased 8 trucks. Financed with Truist over a 5-year term. Budgeted that amount. That annual payment was $847, somewhere in that area. So fiscal year 20 through fiscal year 25, excuse me, we budgeted for that annual payment as part of our submitted budget to the board for approval every year. When I started to build out the fiscal year 26 budget, knowing that in 25 I've paid off that loan and now the department is once again now debt-free, as I built my 26 budget, I raised that account up to $1 million. I just put $1 million in it, knowing that I would begin this fiscal year to purchase the next round of trucks. So in my capital lease payment account today, in my adopted 26 budget, there is $1 million sitting in that account that can be used to either purchase one straight out for $889, and the remaining money will just roll back into my fund balance at the end of the year, and/or leave it, let it roll back at the end of the fiscal year and finance all 6.
And that's the balance of that account? The 1 million?
Yes, sir, that's it.
Great, thank you.
It's just a revenue account in our adopted budget for the capital lease payment that's due every year.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. All right. Mr. Walls?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for putting the memo up there. So you can see here, we're talking about 5 custom pumpers totaling $4,782,000 and 1 custom pumper totaling $956,851. That's before the discounts. We have discounts and Chief is trading some trucks. So you roll down for me, please, sir. And so the question we have is, do we finance $4,221,000 for 5 pumpers and buy 1 for $889,000, or do we add those 2 together and do a financing for $5,110,000? So roll down if you would. Stop right there. So Georgia Fund 1's currently paying 4.28%. You have 2 offers to finance it. PNC at 3.82% and Truist Bank at 3.88%. And so you can tell the difference between 4.28 and 3.8 is roughly 0.5%. So 889,000, and I'm the third line from the bottom, times 0.5% annually is 4,445 per year. And so if we had that for 5 years, that's about $25,000. We may not have that for 5 years. And so if the Fed keeps lowering rates and that 4.28 lowers, you can prepay at any time with no prepayment penalty that $889,000 that Chief Sweat's going to keep in his budget. You can prepay it at any time if the rate that you earn falls below the rate that you borrow it. Turn to going down to the next one. And so keep going down. So at the end, my recommendation is to finance all of the trucks and simply prepay the loan if the rate falls below your borrowing rate. Now that's the key to that, though, is you got to go to Truist, which is 3.88%, because PNC won't allow you to prepay. So if you take that recommendation, you're going with Truist. Let's go to the next one, Truist. The difference in the 2 offers are the lower interest rate from PNC, but Truist offers to let you prepay at any time without any prepayment penalty. The prepayment penalties in that first paragraph from PNC is you could not prepay at all in years 1 and 2, and you have a 3% of the outstanding principal balance in years 3 and 4. And keep rolling down. Keep rolling down. So let's look at the differences. For the $5,110,000, the annual payment for PNC is $1,142,000. The annual payment for Truist at 3.88 is $1,143. So the difference is $1,931 a year. Over 5 years, it's $9,656 more if you go with Truist and don't refinance. $4,221,000. The annual payment for PNC is $943. The annual payment for Truist is $944. The difference, PNC saves $1,595 per year, and over 5 years, it's a savings of $7,976. Remember, if rates were to fall and you got a chance to refinance, Truist would be lower. And before I leave this, as you all make a decision whether to finance all $5,110,000 or just $4 million, just know that Chief Sweat has in his mind $1 million a year, and that's what he's been paying for years and years and years. And he just doesn't want his payment to go over $1 million. And isn't that fair? That's just your mindset.
Yes.
And so you can see that's where his strategy came from, by financing 1 truck, by buying 1 truck outright. Let's go down to the next page, please, sir. So what happens if we refinance and say this time next year the Fed have lowered rates and the going rate now is 3.8, let's say it's 2.5%. So for $5,110,000, PNC hadn't changed, and it's $1,142,000. The annual payment for Truist, refinanced at 2.52, is now $1,107,000. So the savings for years 2, 3, 4, and 5 are $34,570 for 4 years, for a total of $138,000 in savings. And remember, I don't know if interest rates are going to go down or not. The experts say that they might. If it were me, I'd just want to have that option in case they did. For the $4,221,000, You can see the savings are $28,000 for 4 years if you could refinance at 2.5%, and the total over those remaining 4 years is $114,000. So I'll give you, as your financial advisor, my recommendation is to go with Truist because we can prepay. And then question 3 is who holds title to the fire trucks? Here are your options. The banks, PNC or Truist, either one. Here we run the risk, if we title it in their name, Emmett George is going to levy property tax against it because the title's in a private person's name and not your name. Sometimes in my other jurisdictions, I represent 150 across the state, we take the tax assessor out and get him all liquored up and he don't tax it. But I don't know if Emmett will do that or not. Point number 2, the option is the county holds the title. Problem with that is this is annual lease obligation. And so if you or any subsequent board decides not to renew the lease, those fire trucks are collateral. And so either bank, whichever one we finance it with, would take those fire trucks and sell it for what's left on the loan. Under the anti-gratuities law, nothing you hold can be disposed of without bidding it for 30 days and selling it to the highest bidder. So 2 doesn't really work either legally. So 1 and 2, from my recommendation, and I think from your county attorney's recommendation, are out. So 3 and 4, we can create a nonprofit with you all as members, and it'll hold title, or we can use a PFA that y'all just recently created, and they can hold title. And both banks will be okay with either 3 or 4. That's it, Madam Chair.
Any questions at this time, board members?
What was the timing that you said that a decision has to be made?
Yes, we need to make sure that we have the agreement over to purchase within 30 days of when we executed the purchase agreement, which was last week, the 6th. So we do need to move forward so that we can get started with the process of reviewing the agreement and getting that back to you all for approval and execution.
Yeah, so when Madam Chair signed the purchase agreement last Tuesday night, that was sent the following morning, I believe, Director
Right,
Rogers,
so
on
that-
Wednesday.
Right.
So once that agreement was sent over to 10-8, we have 30 days to pay them $5.110 million. So whichever route we go, I'm assuming that will be probably decided next Tuesday. Then we have to get to the closing table for whatever lending institution to ensure that we meet that 30-day deadline to pay that invoice.
So, Mr. Wall, do we get charged a finance advisor fee for any of these choices, either one of these choices?
No, ma'am.
PNC or Truist
No, ma'am, I'm simply charging my hourly rate.
tonight?
Yes, well, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The $150 an hour. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. I just wanted
Good
to
evening.
just chime in. So right now, my recommendation is that we go with item 4. The reason why we go with 4 as opposed to 3 is that we'd have to create, you already have a vehicle that you can use to, with the Public Facilities Authority to go through this. If we go with 3, you have to pay somebody to create create
A nonprofit.
that nonprofit, which is going to cost the board money. So the easiest way is to go with something we already have that won't cost. I've already spoken with the attorney for the Public Facilities Authority and let them know that that was an option. So they're prepared to move forward with this depending on which way that you all go. If there's some way that you all can give us a general sense if you're leaning towards Truist or towards PNC today, then we can know kind of which one we're going towards so we can start moving. I'm not saying vote, but if we have some idea of
Oh,
which
I'm not
way you
voting
want
up
to move, that will help
That's
us
not
be
on
able
the
to move
agenda.
forward with getting all the other things, because the longer we wait, the shorter time we have to, because they have to, the Public Facility Authority has to meet, approve certain documents, and so.
Well, thank you, Mr. Reed.
Chief, what was your
What was your what did you, Chief?
On 3 or 4?
Yeah.
No,
No.
well, not for me, that's not my question, I'm not sure if that's the chairman.
Okay, you ask your question first. I was asking which man, who did he,
I can see both ways.
Okay.
When it comes to paying cash and financing. In the end, we're all getting to the same goalpost. We're just approaching it two different. My only statement, if we do finance all 6, then to ensure that it's only easier on me, Madam CFO, and to not have to come back to you for a budget amendment for the next 5 years, is I will just prepare the budget for that entire 1.14 million payment if we go that route. It's
And then my question was Truist or PNC?
prepayment penalties. Historically speaking, we have never prepaid. We run a 5-year term. My only ask is if we go with Truist that doesn't have the prepayment penalties, and I'm all for saving money. If we can save the taxpayers money, I am 150% behind that. Should the rates drop in the next 12 months and we want to go to refinance, to ensure that we, as a county fire, stay on a vehicle replacement plan, I am looking at pretty much doing this every 5 years to keep our apparatus in tip-top shape. So my only ask, if the rates did drop, and we can do it, we just have to be extremely proactive, is that as soon as they did, we refinanced in the same calendar year to ensure that I'm not extending a 5-year out to a 6-year or a 7-year, if that makes sense. So if we refinance at year 2, we refinance for a 36-month term, so I'm still staying within that 5-year block of time. So 5 years from now, when we go to plan for the next round, we're kind of staying on that cycle.
So
if
who
that
would be
makes sense.
watching that? Would that be your department watching that, or would that be our CFO?
Financial advisor.
Mr. Wall said me, and she said both.
We got to pay you
just-
another $150
an hour to watch this?
It's basically just watching the interest rates.
So we have a computer program for all my clients. I load up everybody's debt, and as interest rate moves, it spits out every Friday what savings are. So
Well, let's start off with the folk we have, we paying already, and then we'll see.
if you don't want me to look at it, I won't.
Well, you say you
Please
look at
look
it
at it.
anyway.
I said I look at it anyway, but if you don't want me to, I don't have
I
to.
don't want to pay you $150 if we already got people here looking.
That's fine, then I won't do it.
Yeah.
Please look at it.
Please don't.
Anyway, we'll decide.
Thank you. All right, any other questions at this time?
Ms. Rogers, you
Ms.
have a
Rogers.
statement, or
Well,
you taking
I
questions?
just want to know
or-
which direction do you want us to start looking at as far as the things that we need to do to make sure that we stay on point with the timeline that we have, or do we need to start looking at both? If there's any direction, if not, certainly, we can bring it back next week.
And we need to put our CFO in
Yeah.
too, to find out what's what as far as recommendation.
Well, I
Ms.
had some-
Jackson, would you come up?
No, I mean, not tonight. She said-
Yeah, can you give us time and then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll start looking at both just on our side.
All right. Is there any other
For me,
questions
it's-
at this
For
time?
me, it's looking at a non-prepayment with an interest rate that can drop. To me, it's somewhat, that's the way I would be leaning.
I have a question about the PFA, but I'm not sure who would answer that question about the Public Facilities Authority.
Mr. Reed, can you answer that question?
All right. Has the PFA met since it's been created? Have they had any meetings?
They have not had a reason to meet since they've been created,
Right.
no. But they have a reason to meet now. So we'll make sure, I've already let them know that this was in the works. Mr. Wall has been, and Mr. Taylor, who's the bond counsel, that we've been talking quite a bit over the past couple of weeks of what makes sense, not just from a legal standpoint, but just from a economic standpoint as well, as to whether it makes sense to do the nonprofit versus doing the PFA. And Mr. Taylor's good with the PFA, so we started that process going to get them notified so they can go ahead and be ready to meet as soon as the board gives us some direction of which way we're going.
All right. You must have known my second question was going to be about the onboarding and just making sure that if we're asking a newly created board to review a multi-million-dollar financing plan, that we gave them the time that we need, especially given, the board has to make a decision ahead of December 6th to make sure that there's cushion for the closing to finalize all these financial documents.
Yes, and I've already been in touch with the attorney. He has said he was going to reach out with each of the boards to have not just a meeting to decide, but a meeting to kind of help them understand what they do so that when they do come to meet, either they'll have that meeting before they have this, but I just kind of leave that to his discretion of how he wants to plan it, but so that they won't come in like, what are we doing?
And that date again is
What date?
December,
6.
the deadline.
6, I think it's the deadline. So we have one more, we have 2 meetings between now and the day, the drop dead date.
But
the
how-
18th and the 4th.
But how long does it take to process
Oh,
the
no, we need
closing
to-
documents? I mean,
We need
it-
to have a decision like
Right.
ASAP.
Because
But
the
I'm
next
just saying we have
meeting's,
two more meeting dates.
yeah, the next meeting's December 2nd, so, I mean, there would not be any wiggle room.
The next meeting is
Sorry,
the
the
18th.
next meeting after next week is December 2nd, so there's no wiggle room at all to finalize those financial documents in time for a closing to, I wouldn't want to do that to your people over in, let's not do that.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reed. All right, at this time, I just want to say thank you for coming out tonight. The Clayton County Board of Commissioners work session is now adjourned.